Hey guys, Steve Tony here, and I am back with my second installment of my series, Underrated and Overlooked. But before I get started on it, I would like to give a shout out, and that shout out is to Roger D, aka Channel Donstar. He's actually been on YouTube for quite a while now. He was away for a few years due to health issues. He explains it fully in his latest set of videos, so I'll leave a link to his channel in the description. Definitely sub to him. He's a really interesting and funny guy. He's a really big movie buff like all of us are, but he always includes very cool stories in his stuff. So definitely check him out, subscribe, tell him TV Nash sent you, and you'll not ever regret watching his stuff. Okay, now on to the underrated overlooked stuff. And last week I decided to feature two horror films in my collection. Horror isn't necessarily my go-to with films, but I do enjoy some on occasion. And my favorites are actually the Hammer Mummy films. It's probably my favorite franchise, the Hammer Mummy ones. But I also like the gothic stuff, stuff like related to Poe, who I've enjoyed since I was a kid, actually. But here I am going to present the two films in that Mummy franchise that I think kind of get underscored, underappreciated, and are actually quite good. And the first one is the third entry in the franchise, the Mummy Shroud from 1967. This is the Australian Blu-ray. It's similar to the Studio Canal one from the UK, but this is the one I was able to get my hands on. So it's basically the most generic mummy film I think in the franchise. It's the typical story of the archaeologists discovering a king's tomb in the deserts of Egypt, and somebody who sees themselves as a protector of the pharaoh's secrets vows to take them all out for desecrating in the tomb. But what makes this one different and quite enjoyable, actually, is that it's more of an ensemble cast type deal. There's no one true big celebrity heading the pack. Probably the biggest name in the film is this guy here, Andre Morel, who for Sherlock Holmes fans was the Dr. Watson to Peter Cushing's Holmes in Hammer's take on the Hound of the Baskerville story. But, as I said, it's mainly an ensemble type cast. So there's really no one singular character to focus on. You can see the story, as a whole without, having to focus on any one person in particular from start to finish. Doctor Who fans will probably have interest in this film because the guy who sets out to bring the curse to fruition is Roger Delgado, the actor who played the Master in John Pertwee's era. So he's the guy controlling the mummy in the film. I had either read or saw in someone's YouTube video a while back that this is sort of the prototype of what became the slasher genre, because it just shows everybody being picked off one by one in almost a segment-like fashion. I do see where that, viewer or writer was coming from when he said it, but I personally don't see it entirely myself, because in most slashers, the kills tend to follow each other pretty quickly, especially if it's an under 90-minute film. This one has enough pacing in between the kills that it doesn't feel rushed, or that you're seeing a killing every few minutes. The mummy in this is quite poor, to be honest. I don't know if there's a picture of him anywhere. No. But in spite of the still there, the mummy itself is actually quite poor looking. But the story's still cool though, and he gets to kill the folks in a pretty unique fashion, and it's actually one of the first good supporting role parts for Hammer regular Michael Ripper. He also gets a good death scene in this, which is actually the most tragic, because he's only killed because he's associated to the jerkwad leader of the expedition, who's played by John Phillips, who actually cheats Andre Morel early on in the films. And the reason why I feel this is underrated is because the co-author and director John Gilling, he was very disappointed in this film. He thought a mummy film was too basic. He felt that Michael Karras kind of forced the project on him. I forget now if he had a totally different script in mind that was eventually rejected or what, but he did not have a fun time making this film, and he ended up quitting film making that long after, and I think spent the rest of his life either in the south of England or maybe even in Australia painting. I kind of get why he felt how he did it that time, but quite frankly, I think he did quite the excellent job on both the script and the direction itself. It's well paced, it's not boring. The characters probably aren't as fully developed as we would normally hope for, but it's still quite entertaining. It's really a fun film. I enjoy it for what it is, and it's definitely one I think more folks ought to check out. This Blu-ray I know is still available. The UK Studio Canal one I know is still available, and for fellow US viewers, there is a Blu-ray from Shout Factory's Scream line. So definitely check it out if you haven't already. And the other film that is actually my second favorite after the original Mummy film with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing is the fourth and final one in the series, Blood from the Mummy's Tomb. Excuse the glare there, it can't be helped, unfortunately. I actually bought this on DVD first. Again, was an early import from the UK. I always wanted to see it. And then I ended up getting the Blu-ray. I actually like the DVD cover a bit more. Somebody who saw the cover when I had the DVD out said it unnerved them a bit. I personally don't see why. I mean, if anyone knows why this cover might unsettle some folks, let me know in the comments. But yeah, I'll stick with the DVD for the showing off. For Bram Stoker fans, this is actually Hammer's official adaptation of a Stoker work. This was actually based on his Mummy novel, Jewel of the Seven Stars, but Hammer didn't think anyone would believe that title for a horror film, so it went through a series of names until it was finally settled on this one. And this is probably the most unique film in the franchise after the first one, in that it is not a bandage-laden mummy. It actually starts out in ancient Egypt. These three high priests end up cutting off the hand of their queen, who it turns out at some point in the film's backstory practiced black magic and was as much of a sorceress as she was a queen, so they place her in a death-like slumber and cut off her one hand because it's the a source of her power. And she ends up seeing through time, and she picks these four archaeologists in the 1930s who have found her tomb, and she ends up doing something that makes the group beholden to her in some fashion. And as the leader of the group's wife is in childbirth, dying sadly, the child she's bearing survives, but has been possessed by the evil queen here. And then years pass, and it ends up going into the 70s, so it's the only true contemporary mummy film, as generally they're set in the late 19th century, early 20th century. And it's just basically about the daughter, who's the reincarnation of the evil queen. She starts having all of these visions. Her father ended up taking the queen's body out of the tomb, and it's like either in their basement or somewhere near the house, and they're keeping her alive so she can be resurrected and take over the world. The would-be sort of accelerator of the curse and prophecy, James Villers. He's kind of like a low-rated version of the guys played by George Pestel and Roger Delgado. He's an egomaniac in it who thinks he can get the queen to help him, but he's really just as much a pawn, as everyone else in. That one is the most eerie and creepy of the four films. There's a real there's a real supernatural vibe going on. The queen is definitely very powerful. There's something very malevolent about her. She clearly has dark forces at her beck and call, or command, if you will. And it is just eerie. I actually felt a slight chill watching the film for the first time a few years ago, actually. It is really good, and it has a very ambiguous ending, because there was apparently thoughts of a sequel, but it never materialized, sadly, and it was just left at this last film. The production actually had two tragedies while filming. The lead male role, played by Andrew Keir here, was actually meant for Peter Cushing, and he was only on the set for a day when he got the news that his wife had taken a turn for the worse in her illness. So he asked Michael Karras to be let go from the film so he could, go and take care of her until she sadly passed away. And the second tragedy involved the director Seth Holt. He actually died on set a few days prior to production wrapping. He collapsed while talking to Valerie Leon there. And it was found out that he suffered a major and fatal heart attack. And Michael Karras actually finished the film, but because I think only a week was left on the actual shooting schedule, Karras insisted on Holt's name not being taken off of the credits list, because he did do most of it. He only missed, I think, a few last amount of things and maybe 2 or 3 reshoots. So, but yeah, I don't hear too many folks talking about this film, but you know, it's really good. It's really atmospheric. It's really like no other mummy film ever made previously, and I am bummed that Hammer never actually did a direct sequel to it, because it was a really interesting story. The villainess was quite effective. I do wish they had shown more of her alive in the backstory, because the Queen actually spends almost the entirety of it, you know, in this death-like slumber. I mean, you'll get bets of who she's like, because occasionally she enforces her personality onto the lady who bears her likeness. So it is learned that she's a very, you know, evil ruler. She ruled with an iron fist, you know, and she was, you know, doing apparently all of these wicked things in the shadows. You know, so we do learn a bit about her from that stuff, but I just wish like there were actual scenes of her dressed in the outfit, you know, shown in her kingdom. You know, like why, you know, the priests exactly feared her. I mean, we can guess she had this, you know, terrible, awful power, you know, but I'd have just liked a bit more, you know. I mean, I think like that's why Hammer actually left her somewhat ambiguous, because they planned on continuing her story, but you know, unfortunately, they never did, which, you know, again is a shame. Shame, because I really liked this. You know, it is eerie, yes, but I did enjoy it quite a lot, actually. So, you know, and that was it, actually. I do hope you all enjoyed this entry. Let me know what you think of this one. And if you'd like to see more, I'm sure I can come up with a few more items. I mean, I don't exactly know if this will be an ongoing series, as I said in the last one, but I do hope to have a few up here. You know, but if you have any suggestions, what you thought worked, didn't work, let me know, and I'll see y'all in the next vid. Bye there.